She DTF. She tell me she DTF. I heard she DTF. What? And you ain't hanging with the team if you ain't down to fuck. Okay. Well, little mama bag got that code in a Sprite.
Welcome to DTF.
Yay! We did it.
We are back. We're still doing these weekly shows.
As long as there's as long as there's an America that's falling apart, we'll be right here. But thank you for coming. Yeah, thank you for tuning in, clicking on the button, doing the thing.
Yeah, you are now observing a 7-year-old show. The show is 7 years old now.
That's ancient in shows.
Yeah. So if this is anybody's first one for some reason, this is the Darryl Charles 1 hour. And this is the greatest sex education comedy game show in the known universe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where you are on the screen, but my co-host.
You were voting. Oh no, over there. Yeah.
I don't know where you are. my amazing co-host, the incredible comedian Darryl Charles.
Hi. Hey. Yeah, I mean, if you've never seen me before, yeah, that's it. We'll get through this together. The show. The rest of it, you're on your fucking own. And we have our wonderful guests. Our first guest is a friend of mine and a comedian in and around Philadelphia. Please welcome Kat Mosley to the show. She is the host, if not founder, right? Like essentially.
I feel like that. Yeah,
taking the mantle. It's Kat's thing of Sucks to Be Quarantined every Sunday at 7 on the internet, because everything's on the internet.
And that's at 9. Sorry, y'all.
Sorry. What did I say? 7? Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
At 9. I'm there every week at 9, so I'll know the time. I just need to communicate it more efficiently. It Sucks to Be Quarantined. It has its own Facebook page, so it's not even like it's tagged on to Fergie's. The show, when live, was at Fergie's Pub. Now it lives on the internet. But yeah, every Sunday. Kat, how you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing all right. I was just telling y'all before we started recording how much people are on their own with whatever happens in the world. Yeah. I'm coping. I'm honestly feeling inspired. That's like the optimist part is this is a time where a lot of thinking that we've been doing, it's happening. It's happening. All the stuff we've been thinking and talking about. So there is something that's thrilling and proactive feeling about that at the same time that there are the problems we have in the world. So yeah, I'm also terrified, enraged, breathing.
Right.
Breathing.
Yeah. Faithful.
I have to believe in white Jesus right now. I have.
That's impeccable. Impeccable. As hopeful as I come off, that was one of the more hopeful statements that I'll never make.
It's challenging. I'm telling you, there's so many problems with white Jesus.
Everybody's got to do what they got to do. But yeah, I'm like, a perfect example of how people don't have to agree on everything.
Nope.
We are so excited to have you back. This is your third
time. Thank you for having me back. And congrats on the 7-year, y'all. That's so huge. It is ancient.
Thanks. Yeah.
This is our first time on together, though. She's this way to me.
Oh, that's nice.
And then welcoming to the show for the first time, my dear friends and head of the design house, Faustian Design. Welcome to the show, Faust.
Hey, thank you. That is so bold. That is more credit than I would give myself. So thank you.
So excited to have you on here. Yeah.
That's the way credit should work.
More than you would give yourself?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. You're all great. In case you don't know.
As are you.
You are, Tim.
It's really exciting to be here because, like I was saying before, this is first in a lot of ways for me. So I'm like looking forward to this adventure, right? Got to hold on to like the things to be excited for.
Yeah, right.
I get
Yes.
it. I get it.
Yes.
That is the most, yeah.
That is one of the only ways one can put it at this point in time.
Yeah, I've gotten
Belongs to
really
them.
into sword fighting.
See?
That's been
Because I mean, that means a different thing.
Mhm.
Because I mean,
Everybody, go ahead, Faust.
whatever. I mean, like, same. Either way,
Right, sure.
either direction.
That's what I was gonna say. Whatever your white Jesus is, find it and hold on to it.
Sword fight the best you can. If there's one message from this episode of DTF at your house, it is sword fight the best you can. You get your sword out and you do what you can. You know, put those swords on and in the things you want to. Whether they are institutions or people, I don't care. But you get you. One of the first times I ever stayed at Timaree's place, I remember seeing your wooden swords. And I am not gonna lie, I played with them very furiously before I put them back. And I was very scared as I did it, because one of my many shameful memories as a child was having a broomstick, mop, broomstick, whatever. And I can't remember what movie I saw, but the person unscrewed it and then used it as a weapon. It was like in an action movie. And they the cinematography was that they showed the unscrewing happening and they showed the fingers. So I like played all that in my head and was like twirling it. And I hit the glass above my head that protected the light that was in the ceiling. And glass came raining down on me. And I was fine. But it was one of those situations where months later, my mom was like, wasn't there a thing on that light? And I was like, I have no, I don't know. I don't.
Word, there was?
There was? Like, I mean, where is it then? Like,
You Mandela affected your mom. That's-
yeah, as a child, perfect at gaslighting. Maybe maybe you feel like maybe there's something wrong with you that you remember this like cover. Who covers lights? I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, as I was, katana-ing my way through, I all I remembered was the destruction that I inadvertently caused, and I was like, please don't break this lady's stuff. But yeah,
Wooden
they're good
sword
wooden swords.
Wooden sword made me think of a thing I did with a family cucumber once, and so I did what you might imagine with the family cucumber, but I didn't think it through. And I, unlike you with the lampshade, I was like, Mom's gonna miss this cucumber. So I thought it was a good idea to wash it and put it back. And my family had this delicious sweet Vidalia onion dressing. So the most popular dish at dinner that night was the salad. And the whole night I watched my family like, I want some more. This dressing is good.
It's a
Yo,
tang
hand
on
me
it.
the salad.
Oh,
Wow. I hope
Did
everyone in
that.
your family is listening and then is like,
the salad. Huh.
I do remember that salad. That was a good salad.
It was never the same after that.
No, I could never get the tag back. I bought the dressing and everything. I couldn't. It must have been in the cucumbers.
We've definitely covered some cooking, some examples of people cooking using bodily fluids on the show. And, hey, like I'm sure we said then, do what you want. If you're going to eat it, eat it. I hope you know what's in it, but I don't know what's in most of the stuff I eat. So.
And like we also often remind people on the show, if you're going to use foods as sex toys, feel free to use a condom, because not only does that make the cleanup easier, but also if it breaks, it's a little less of an issue for you.
It's in a trash bag.
Yeah, and then anything that goes in your butt needs a flared base.
You need that flare because
You suck right up.
there is a cervix in a vagina, right? There is, oh God. Now that I think of it, there's been people doing some very unsafe sounding practices given the implements that I've seen. There aren't flared bases on those. But yeah, the thing about the intestinal tract is that it is very long and it remembers everything. And so if you don't have a flared base, you might end up having to recall your history to a team of medical professionals.
Yeah. So with that, shall we get to our first regular segment?
Yay! Yeah.
Isn't that embarrassing? I put stuff in my butt all the time. Like, this is definitely like useful information, I guess, but like known.
Typically, yeah. Sure. It's
Like, it
just
should
like
be.
this show.
It should be known, but like, you know, I know a lot of ER nurses, and apparently it's not widely enough known. So we just are redundant as hell about it.
There are a lot of new butt players
Yeah.
who don't hold on to the
Or
implementation.
they hold on too tightly. They're nervous about it. Yeah.
They lose their own tug of war. They lose it.
It is funny that, like, you know, one of the tips we'll give is, yeah, during any butt play, make sure that there's plenty of fluid, because the anus is not a self-lubricating orifice like many other orifices. But by telling people that, we also remove the grip strength on the implements that one would try, therefore enabling, I guess, to stick to the positivity, another example of why one needs a flared base. All right, so yeah, welcome to DTF at your house. Here we are, between grandparents and pets and me. Welcome.
I don't have any grandparents.
Yeah, me neither. To quote the great Kendrick Lamar, bitch, all my grandma's dead, so ain't nobody praying for me. I'm in your head. Hey. All right, cool. So yeah, we're here. You know, we do the things. If you haven't seen it before, we cover the news, and then we're gonna play some games. So let's get to our first piece of the news.
Fucking news.
Yeah, it's the fucking news. Yeah. Boom, man.
Yep.
This is.
Yep.
Here's some
All right.
greatness.
This is gonna be a fun story. All right, so, and by fun I mean, all right, so this is a story about a woman who married. Let me just back it up. It starts out as a love story. When she was a teenager, she hooked up with a young man some years older. They got together. They were married for many, many years, and as is the case with a lot of situations where someone is emotionally and financially and socially isolated and abused for years and years and years and years, and does not feel like they can leave, and may even attempt to leave and apply for divorce and then change their mind, she did the thing where she no longer has to be with the guy. So she went to jail because she killed him with a hammer. And so that happened. And the next thing that happens is that there is a law existing, and I believe this took place in the UK specifically, but there are a lot of places that have laws like this. You can't.
Yeah, the United States has laws like that too.
Yeah, you can't profit an inheritance from a person that you killed for reasons that are understandable. But what she was concerned about then is the money would go to her kids, but they would get taxed because we prioritize marital property inheritance differently than we do with children, which is different than what we do with like friends or whatever. So in order to prevent her sons from being like super taxed on what they would inherit, she went to courts, and it was found that, yeah, the years of abuse are probably relevant to this. And she was able to get her own money, which she says she's still going to give to her kids, but now a bunch of it doesn't have to go to the government. There we are.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely fabulous. Get it? Because that was a British show. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, no, I applaud every piece of this. I think it's, except for the fact that, you know, well, the UK has a very good grip on how to deal with estate taxes that I am very envious of as a citizen of the United States. But and then so I think that it's funny that you had to go through all of this in order to make sure that her kids still kept millions of dollars. Whatever.
I mean, it's very similar to in the U.S. the Edith Windsor case, which was really the big case that we point to in Supreme Court for same-sex marriage rights. And the only reason that same-sex couples now have marriage across the U.S. is that an incredibly wealthy white woman wanted to inherit her own money when her partner died. And as is the case in most of gay rights history, it's the wealthy white people's actions that finally get any sort of attention paid to like basic civil liberties. So this kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
I'm very happy for Sally Hemings that she's entitled to the estate
right
now after all of her suffering. I'm extremely happy. It looks like justice to me. I saw so many implications in here. I mean, I see in this. I was talking to. This reminds me of what's happening with Black people right now. So everything that's been described about Sally Challen can also be applied to Black people in the United States. And so there's some talk about financial control. There's some talk about mental control. We give you our children to educate, and you miseducate our children about themselves and stigmatize them. I think there's some physical control. We're highly policed, and there's all of this mental abuse. I think that there are things that this article demonstrates an understanding of humanity that I very much see lacking right now with Black folks. So this was hopeful because it's another place where I can say, there you go, you're capable of that. Humanity, you're capable of that. I like this shift. We know enough about relationships that we've witnessed. We know the truth of these relationships. So I'm glad for judges not to turn a blind eye to the truth just because physical abuse, black eyes, choke marks on the neck are sensational. Those photographs are dramatic to people, and then people are moved to respond. It's great if people can be moved to respond without the sensational and triggering imagery.
True.
I think it's interesting that this wouldn't have even happened if they didn't make that coercion, the coercive control, like an actual criminal act. Like the act, like literally saying it is illegal to emotionally and economically abuse someone, like, which we do not have here. That's not a thing. To my knowledge, it's only like kind of the UK and France.
No, is it? I don't know.
But like,
no, definitely.
Like it's important, and it's definitely something that should be progressed upon. I'm just I guess I don't believe in our system quite so much right now to believe that they're going to take the same actions.
Right.
Right.
Right. As an American who has grown up in the American education system, I am under the impression that a lot of the laws that America has pushed through, a lot of the decisions we've made in the realms of legislation and the judiciary have been championed around the world to provide equality for citizens and, some kind of a means toward everyone living happily. But I'm always happy when I see it happen in other places, things that don't happen here. Right. Like, and that is one of those things, like, as you grow older or whatever, you just get a better understanding of the world, and you be like, oh, other places do it better. And like, what is the differences between here and there, and finding out those things is important. I think that, I'm completely talking out of my ass at this very point, but like the idea that like, a country run by a monarchy, right? Or like even France had a monarchy at one point, Yeah, I mean, it was before, very much so. Now it's more of
No,
a,
but I mean, like the UK still has a parliament, and the monarchy
yes,
is largely figurehead.
right. But they still have yet to say, we don't need to give this family money. This is ridiculous. But I think that I think that all we should throw away all that shit and just you know live in a way that we prioritize community over capital. But I'm just out here trying to get the police to kick my door in.
That's
But
huge. Okay.
yeah, that's huge. But like, I think that like these people have had to deal with uh, people of means doing this kind of terrible abuse for a while,
Mm-hmm.
for years. Like,
Mm-hmm.
kings that have had 8 wives and had 7 of them killed, like that kind of thing. So that coming from that frame of reference, I could totally see this becoming a very decent issue where it's like, yeah, they're the haves and have-nots, and where we, come together and fuck and make kids. There's a lot of abuse that can happen when you have these two different levels of status. Um, to
Mm-hmm.
apply it to America, I'd be like, yeah, we have that too, but no one really wants to admit that. That's a tough thing for America to come to terms with. So seeing this does, yeah, give a little bit of hope. But I mean, we also have the thing where, like, I feel like there's been a couple of I would say there've been a couple of cases where someone who was abused was able to not quite, I mean, enact vengeance or free themselves through violent means, and then not have to see the harshest hand of justice be dealt to them. But then I think about like Sonoya Brown, right? Is that the
And so,
name?
yeah.
Yeah, Santoya Brown, who was in a similar situation and was in jail for a long time, if not is still in jail. I don't remember how that.
She's out now. Yeah.
She's out now. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
but like had to do a number of years for a similar thing. So getting the money is cool, but yeah, the idea of like reacting to years of abuse is not a crime, right?
Mhm.
Is a
This is
great thing.
this is also reminding me a little bit of like Russia right now, where they've actually scaled back domestic abuse protections because they were considered anti-family. Because if
Yeah.
you make it possible for women to leave abusive marriages, that breaks up families. And Putin has come down very hard against those laws. And the result of that is that the vast majority of women in Russia who are in prison are there because they killed their abusers.
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is humanity. This
Yeah.
is humanity. This is
This
what
happens
happens when you
everywhere.
put your brain this way. And I think some evolved and informed people recognize that in order to have a thriving country, you need your people to be sane. And so you actually do need to safeguard the minds of your people. You need those minds for innovation and for your economy. You need those minds. So yeah, like Sally Hemings is not just like a symbol for Black people in America right now, but I do think for all of these people who have been stressed out worldwide for a while now, like at this moment, I think she's a cautionary tale and yeah. There's some advice in there for people. Safeguard the minds of your people.
Yeah, because I mean, I think everyone would agree that there's a big hope that this never happens again.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
But
yeah.
right,
DTF is not coming out on the side of killing people with hammers, to be clear. Like, don't abuse people so that they find themselves in a situation where they don't think they have another choice.
yeah, I mean, I don't want to go incredibly macabre here, but do you understand the amount of animus you have to
Yeah.
hammer murder somebody?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Yeah.
please listen to my hatchet joke on my debut album, Black
Mhm.
Gentrifier, to get an idea of
Very
like,
good.
you know how long it would take to kill somebody with a hammer? Like the way it would look as you did it. Most people would pause at a point and not finish with the murder. This lady felt that she had no other choice because of years of abuse. I put that on the abuser. I don't put that on the lady. But it's like, damn, like, you know, it should be an indictment on everyone who lives under that system that that shit could happen. And she had to win on appeal.
Mm-hmm.
So she went to court like, yeah, I did it, but here's the circumstances. I was like, yeah, you're guilty, go to jail. Like, oh my goodness, like, what are you talking about? So, you know.
I think when she was convicted, the coercive control was not illegal at the time. And when they created that law, that's when she had the opportunity to appeal, because that was clearly the case. And since it applied, it worked. She got down to a manslaughter charge. I keep getting stuck on the domestic violence aspect. And I don't know, like the fact that, like, first off, a lot of these abuses are completely legal here. And like, even though we can send women to shelters, like that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go for help, seek help. They're going to be too afraid to seek help in some cases. And then it also reminds me of that 40%. Like, who is responding to these domestic disputes? Who's responding to this violence? Like, who's trained to recognize signs of this abuse? But also, can we trust like a system with that has like a record of like 40% of it? I'm talking about cops. I'm talking about police. Sure. Having like 40% of them being recognized as like abusers, like, and that's just like what we know of. Like, why, if they are so comfortable instilling that in their own homes, would we trust them to protect people being abused in their own homes, like elsewhere? My brain is sort of going in a direction and the words are sort of just going in the same direction, but I feel like you understand what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, and what I get from that is we are in a nation that has a safety problem. Like, they either don't understand safety, or safety is too inconvenient for us actually to pursue it, is what I get. Because the people who would keep victims of coercion safe are people who do it themselves, likely all day, every day. So they are practiced in the very violence, so practiced in the very violence that they're supposed to protect us against, that they are actually like patently disqualified from doing the job. So who does the job?
No, without a doubt. I completely hear where you're coming from. And it's like a little bit of foreshadowing, but yeah, like our next article is about an issue that can get someone fired. Meanwhile, that really, I mean, to some degree harms no one outside of the capitalistic tendencies of the situation. But like, you can have a police force where the employees of that force are, you know, hundreds of times more likely to engage in domestic abuse and not have their jobs taken away. Like, that's not a fireable offense. And you want these people to protect the weakest of us? Fuck out of here. You know, like that. The only answer to that is like, fuck out of here. That's bullshit. You know.
I think they're penalized more if they come up positive for marijuana, right? There's more penalty for a positive urine test than for damaging your family and generations of your family. Like, consider the trauma that comes with these behaviors. It's not just that you're getting away with it today. That stays. Your kids have to heal that after you do that.
And think about, if you were that upset, how good weed would be in that moment.
Yup.
Imagine getting that mad and be like, you know what?
Yep.
I'm gonna go smoke a blunt. I will be right back. And then when you come back, you're like, hey, I was wilding.
Yep. And they got weed in the property room. They have so much seized weed.
And they steal it.
It's there.
And they do steal it. So yeah, I don't want to sit here and be like, I know what it's like to, serve and protect, but I think one, y'all don't either. But two, maybe if y'all had a couple outlets for these things, namely a very harmless tier 1 drug, you know, maybe life would be a little different. We have to look outside the box. We got to think of it from different angles. We got to, you know, high police. How about that? You know, get the HP. Hey.
Yo, it was election day. If they had a proposition about letting cops smoke weed, do you know how many people would check yes? We want y'all to chill. We don't need y'all.
We want
like
y'all to
this.
relax. I want a relaxed person coming in like, hey, it's loud.
Yep.
They called us. Can you turn it down?
Listen, man, I don't really, you know, nobody want to be doing. Y'all just
I had to
chill.
stop smoking to
Your
get
neighbors
here.
is worried. Yeah, exactly. I put my thing down. Y'all sit down and smoke that. Where's your lighter?
Y'all got something to eat? Can you imagine if a cop came to you and was like, hey, I got the munchies. Can I get something to eat? I would want to hear everything they had to tell me.
Yeah.
Red vine.
Yeah, right? Yeah, here's some candy. What happened? I was in the wrong? You know what? My bad.
You got that, cop.
Also, I've been loving that people lately, like this week especially, have been sharing stuff about like what would be alternatives to police, right? Like what if that was not our solution to every problem? And one of them is like a really clear example, I think, is like dealing with domestic issues. Like why is the solution armed people showing up? And like not social workers or people who are trained around any of this stuff. Like, I don't know, we've tried it one way for a long time. What if we tried it a different way?
They have the easiest phone number to remember. I think that's what it is. So we need the calls routed out. We need that exchange to just send the calls out to call.
We need an 811. We need a 711. We need a 912. You know, something like that.
I also think like if we're looking for I don't know who's I've seen some social workers engaged in the conversation. I would say y'all ask communities that don't trust the police how they take care of each other, because they're doing it. They're doing it. They're policeless. One of the last times I called the cops, I feel so ashamed of it because there was somebody at Broad and Erie. And if y'all don't know, Broad and Erie is a Black neighborhood, but Temple is right there. They have a Black bookstore called Black and Noble, which I think is great, but I think most people don't know what that's a pun on anymore because that store doesn't really exist anymore. And there was somebody.
Yes, they are. That's not what you do. All right, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
There was somebody just walking down the block like mad and shoving people, and it was right near the bus stop. So there were a lot of people around to punch. And I think I was seeing the moment very colorblind. And I was like, this person is punching people. Let me call the cops. And there was an old man sitting on the corner like, sis, you ain't even had to do that. We had you, sis. We had you. So it like the neighborhood is policing itself. It is, and watching so much that they watched me call the cops, so now they know what to look out for when the cops come.
When the cops, right, yeah. And you know, imagine a world where that was, where you doing that, it's like, oh no, the cops are coming, and people would be like, whew, good.
Yeah, exactly. Now these uncles are sitting there like, God damn, I was gonna go in and watch Jeopardy.
And I gotta go in the house. Yeah, like I don't even know what's in my pockets right now. I gotta get out of here. This shit is crazy. Yeah, that's not cool.
So I feel like we need a little palate cleanser.
Yeah.
So in the interest of time, we're gonna move to our next story. All right.
This is fun.
Some current breaking news that gay Twitter is all ablaze about. So Sean Harding, who is a sex worker, has been galvanizing a bunch of other male sex workers to tell their story about a very anti-LGBT Republican, surprise, Republican senator who has for many years been known around DC to hire male sex workers. And to clarify, there's nothing wrong with hiring sex workers or the gender of the people that you hire. However, this person is notable for their anti-LGBT stance. Now, nobody's actually come out and said who it was yet because he wants to get lawyered up first so he doesn't get sued into oblivion for defamation.
Yeah.
But this person has been referred to as Lady G, also the initials LG, It's Lindsey Graham.
Y'all,
Allegedly.
has anybody branded this yet with the LG for Lindsey Graham also being the LG and LGBT? Has anybody done this? A t-shirt that calls Lindsey Graham LGBT? Somebody do it. Do it.
Honestly, I have a guy.
Like
What's the
LGBT
BT?
and then Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey
BT,
Graham's been
yeah.
troubling.
Graham B. Lindsey Graham be twerking. Lindsey Graham be ticklish. Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham buys taint. Is that? Yeah, like we need. Yeah.
Lindsey
figure it
Graham
out.
booty tight.
Workshop it.
Lindsey Graham booty tight. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right. No,
I'm
not, probably not. Though. That's a lie. That's they're probably not.
Because
So sad.
Whatever.
Well, it also seems like-
Allegedly.
Yeah, we didn't say it here.
Allegedly.
On
But he
this
is a
show,
public
he's not
figure.
famous.
He's a public, yeah.
Well, that's true. He is a public figure, so therefore, the rules aren't the same. But I kind of feel like they'd change.
I don't want that heat.
Right. I feel like they would change if he wanted them to. I think like when he puts enough money in it, they'll do whatever he wants.
Listen, and that's how I feel about Sean Harding, and I'll fall back, y'all. Sorry. But here's how I feel about Sean Harding. You already brave, boo, because I see what they do to y'all in DC, hung around with the wrong people. I see what they do to y'all. Y'all turn up in cars underwater. I see what they do to y'all when y'all mess with these people. Y'all pray for Sean Harding. Look out for Sean Harding. It's a dangerous place to be outing people. I think they talk about that a lot on Scandal. I think.
I keep thinking of House of Cards, but R.I.P. Sean has said that there's a homophobic Republican who is laughed at or talked about disparagingly for their hypocrisy amongst a community of sex workers. So this is the kind of person who loves to browse, is not, I imagine not super particular, maybe in the acts, but definitely not the participants. And they all know this person to be very prominent and very hungry in a way. And so what Sean has said is, I want to out this person. I want to do that stuff. What was it before with the other guy? Lifting my luggage. Oh, I can't remember the politician who was caught paying a sex worker, but then said, I paid this person to lift my luggage when that's what y'all call traveling for a thing. I mean, history is littered with these people. And by littered, I mean, they are garbage on the stain, they're a garbage stain on humanity. But but what Sean wants is help. He wants to make sure that there are more than one person, a group of people who will come forward with these allegations, because you don't want it to work out the same way as worked out with a lot of other people who can show up with allegations of habitual abuse, or, I mean, in this case, hypocrisy. This person, it seems, paid for their things, but like where, one person has to come forward and take all of the slings and arrows and then inspire one more person to say something, and then they get slings, and then another person comes up and they get arrows, like, trying to do some kind of an organizational thing. And, shout out to the bravery. This person's a sex worker. They put their wallet on the line, So I need a good laugh. I want the people to help him, but I applaud your bravery for doing so, because you're fucking with your money. Because I imagine that this person that they are talking about has friends who also provide them money. And if one of them is outed, the well may run dry for at least 6 months while they wait for the calm to blow over and they just have to fake having sex with their wives.
So I feel like, I don't know. I don't know too much about Sean Harding. I get that he's a sex worker. Is he like in film as well? Does he have other like
porn, as opposed to just direct service?
Yeah.
This is the first time I actually had ever heard about him, but it sounds like the people so far that he has gotten on board are all direct service, but a lot of people, you know, have a diversification of income streams. Like, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's got a few options.
I saw some of his tweets. He didn't seem too worried about like having to lawyer up himself. He was more worried about making sure that if there are more people like joining in on this, that they're all going to actually be able to take care of each other too.
Right.
Numbers matter there as well.
Okay, I believe. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go.
Not to interrupt, but a quick search has shown that the Sean Harding, who does look like the person in this tweet, is on at least one very popular site and considers themselves some kind of a, well, they do have a model hub page. So yeah, I don't know if they are a self-producer of things.
And check out his work.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're self-producing. They do have an OnlyFans. Yeah, no, he does have an OnlyFans. I just don't know. Apparently, they have over 300 full-length scenes with weekly updates. So, boom, I believe that they do. They are filmed.
Yeah. So that definitely, I mean, that explains why he's also comfortable being upfront about these allegations, right? Because like, it's fucking with his money. But wait, I don't even know. Have we cursed? Can we curse?
Yes, it's fine. Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, like, I'm like up in my head with this now, but no, like his money's safe. Like he's gonna take a hit, but he's safe. So like now it's worrying about like making sure that other people will corroborate his testimony and that like they are showing a united front.
Yeah.
So awesome. Out Republicans. I'm about it.
If he ends up taking out Lindsey, I mean, because this is the thing, is like with the GOP, the things that they will excuse, there is a list of things that they will absolutely excuse. And then there's a very short list of things that they will not. And that is gay stuff. So if, you know, like I don't personally care who Lindsey Graham has sex with. I think he's just a terrible toad person. But like if this takes him out, like this will elevate Sean Harding's status among a lot of people. So
yeah,
I'm trying to find it.
It's wild. I think it's interesting. I think that I'm not sure if there's a misunderstanding. When I say he's unsafe, I still want him to do it. I still want the exposure. Unsafe to me doesn't mean turn back and like can't. Never has meant that. But this is the sort of move that like I hope he has thought out. Like I hope he does have security. I hope he does, because the initials that folks are thinking they have figured out are some pretty big ones. And yeah. And I guess I'm glad that he's already comfortable being public. What was interesting was hearing about the hit he might take and how discretion, I think, is such a big part of these people's jobs if they're working for people in politics. And so coming out does mean they have to find new careers. So even if it's not Sean, it's anyone else who allows themselves to be named, who's taking a blow to income, to reputation. It just reminds me of all the jobs we take, even though we know there's a problem with that company. It just reminds me of that. Yeah. When you're a comedian and you don't like that lineup, part of being a comedian is being agreeable. That's part of the agreement of the job. So you go, even though that lineup is offensive to you, and you do your thing and you don't say anything about the lineup and you leave, you know?
No, yeah,
and
totally.
this is a shift. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just from a comedian's perspective. But I know plenty of, like, I mean, I worked for years for a company that I completely disagreed with their existence. However, well-funded 401k was doing numbers. We was out here, you know, and so again, I think we tried to bring this up in a previous episode, but it was like, the idea of capital makes people often have to circumvent a lot of their beliefs uh, in the pursuit of money and security. And while I encourage people to forsake that stuff, I completely understand that it took me over a decade before I got myself to a place where I could say, I'm going to live a vagabond's life so that I like what I'm doing, as opposed to I'm going to make some dough and, hey.
Yeah.
So that
I
is not an
think,
easy
yeah.
jump.
It
That's
takes
not
such
an-
a shift in discomfort. I read an
Yeah.
article about like the erosion of morality around the rise of the Nazis, and what it took was a little bit of weird stuff over time. So if you put that in like Trump terms or anything, like for instance, it could start with just tolerating the fact that LG is homophobic in public, and then it erodes from there. But Trump is a better example because there's a weird escalator ride. There's a daughter group. There are all these things that we as a society don't agree with. The way he talks about different groups of people. And what we don't get is like, as we tolerate that stuff, we're building a tolerance for the stuff. So we forget to reject it because we're accustomed to it. And he's building our tolerance for more. And then by the time you get to the crazy stuff, you've been eroded over time. I think getting uncomfortable is so vital. Like someone finally being like, this is crazy. He's trying to kill us in legislation. And then he pays me a couple $1,000s a year. The one is way more uncomfortable than the other. I can take being a few $1,000s broker to stop this legislation, to discredit this legislation. I think.
Yeah, but not when that few $1,000s is 45% of your income from that thing.
Then the pain is different.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, there's a spectrum, right? It's like, how big of a hit are you taking? This person is the 6,420th ranked porn star on Pornhub. Even with that number, they're doing all right. Right?
And
I don't know.
I was like, they're still working. It sounds
Right.
like his friends, his sex worker friends, are still working during the quarantine. It sounds like the money is still moving in certain circles in DC.
Can you imagine the what has to go through someone's head when it's like, I gotta go make this money? Like we covered on a previous episode,
Pretty much every episode.
the sex workers in, I can't remember.
The Swiss sex workers?
Yeah, Swiss sex workers like put out a list of advisements on like the positions to use to minimize coronavirus spread.
Wow, because they know y'all ain't gonna stop. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's real like that for the customers, and then also for the people who service them, because that's typically, especially because we live in such a sex negative society, when you choose that income stream, it will quickly become your only income stream. And so, yeah, so more power to them. Please, I just want a day when I wake up and I instinctively open my phone and go to a social media app, that the first thing I see is that a politician with the initials of LG has to answer some questions. And woo, that's going to be a good day.
I want this so bad. He says senator. He says senator.
He does say senator.
There's only so many.
There's 100 names. There's 100 names.
There's only so many Republican senators.
It's not Mike Pence.
No.
He's referring to in this instance. Allegedly, who knows? Maybe his middle name or his pseudonym is Little Girl. I don't know.
And that's why he refers to his wife Karen as mother. I don't know. Just
sometimes the facts come together.
The irony that, of course, it is somehow Pride Month, right? And there's still there's a lot of things to focus on simultaneously, and there's so much stuff happening to the LGBT community. Like, we've gone so very far, but in so many ways it is still so exact. Like, this is just, the more it changes, the more it stays the same. There was a Des Moines gay bar that was raided yesterday because of curfew, because they were giving medical attention inside to people who had been protesting.
Ooh.
And it's 2020 and we're smashing up gay bars in Pride Month, you know? And to see this where it's like, on one hand, to see a Republican legislator brought down because he's gay is so old, and I kind of hate that that would work. But at the same time, like, the reasons that they were fearful of it in the 50s and 60s was not only homophobia, but also like, if you can be blackmailed, right? So this would actually explain why someone who goes by the initials LG, why Lindsey Graham was super anti-Trump and then somehow isn't anymore.
Woo!
It would
Yeah.
explain it.
Yep.
There it is.
Yeah, that's hard right there. Yeah, a couple pictures. You know, they tried to do it to MLK, send him a couple pictures, call him on the phone, be like, shouldn't you kill yourself? And yeah, thankfully, I'm paraphrasing, but MLK was like, nah, I'm cucking y'all. That's what I'm doing. And he went with his life, and you know, the first of many.
Yeah. What's interesting, Timaree, what you said, God. So this is exciting because I think a lot of people who seek justice keep talking about decency. And I've come across enough brain science that says that people don't change their behaviors because of decency. They change their behaviors because of consequence. And so a lot of our strategy is around trying to tell people what's right. And it's so stupid. And a lot of their strategy is around upsetting us and getting our attention on the silly things they're doing. And it's great because we really like being right. So we get caught up in telling them how wrong they are. And that's what I like about this, because it speaks to something they value, which is shame, which is public shame about being who you actually are, and how that is exactly like the people you have been condemning. That's what they speak to, shame. And that's why I get behind this, because I think Sean Harding understands that while some people are gonna take the bait, any sort of identity bait, that what this is about is the goal. Like, get them with something that is effective. So super exciting. More of this, liberals, please. More of it. More shame.
Come on, gays, activate. It is our time.
Yeah. Right.
Hit 'em with the sex stuff.
Yeah, and I do appreciate knowing that they're fucking with June. I don't think that that's accidental. I don't think it's accidental to mobilize troops so that they're ready to go in June. I don't think so. I actually predict a lot of media that baits queer people versus Black people controversies. I actually predict them doing that, this clash of rights that they've been really good at creating. I predict more of that coming because it's June.
Yeah, and I have to say, because you brought it up, as a Black man, for any Black person, I get the impetus, I get the seed of it, but when a Black person says, like, tries to disparage the gay rights movement because the movement for the equality of Blacks has been pushed to the side, they feel like it's been pushed to the side by that movement. I get so upset because it's like, it's all civil rights. Like, you do know that the right answer is like being gay and being Black together and individually are not wrong, and so they shouldn't be punished. There's no reason to try to be like, I don't want to advocate for their rights because I want to get them first. Because that idea of getting them first,
same shit,
is the problem. And like, there's so many people, you know, tangential friends and friends who, like, one day I see them post that and I just go, God damn it. Yeah. Where it's like, yeah, like, come on, man. Like, the whole thing is that we are all a people, and people need to be respected as such, you know?
I love it. So in the interest of time, we're going to move on to our final segment.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fun one. So because we are celebrating 7 years, we're going back through the annals to some old games. So we're bringing back an old game that we have done before. Oh, let's see if my screen share feels like working. Right now, it doesn't feel like working, so I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, there we go. And like, come on, buddy. Okay, no, that's what I wanted. Okay, here's what I wanted. Yay!
Hey!
Okay, all right. So welcome to game time.
Yay!
This is a little classic game that we whipped out originally in November of 2017. So it's not even that old, but hopefully that means everyone has forgotten.
Oh, I have, but the thing that I do remember when I saw what I saw, I hate to say it like this, but I don't get enough respect for how hard I have tried throughout this 7 years of not getting any advanced knowledge of these games. Like, Timaree will tell you, she'll be like, oh yeah, I got it. Let me just send it to you. I was like, nope. How about when I show up and see you, I'll hand you my laptop and you do it. I don't want to see it. Like, no. I like games, you know what I mean? And I'm always whatever. But the thing that I do remember about this game is that we discussed what game we'll do. And then once we decided, I leave it to Timaree. And so I was very happy because I remember being like, I feel like this game was in the works for months. Like we were like, well, maybe we should do it. Well, how will we do it? And so yeah, a little bit behind the curtain that like, yeah, I like this one. I don't remember any of the things, but I do like it.
Yeah, so this is gonna be fun because we are playing The Price is Right.
Yay!
If you were only catching this in audio form, you are missing me as Bob Barker. It's a cursed image.
Really hope that you do this as a burlesque act. I see burlesque starting here. Really.
Please remember to spay and neuter your dogs and cats.
How do you do a Plinko number?
Oh, someone needs to construct me a Plinko costume.
Because can you imagine? Yeah, you put the different things on you, and then you just do it, and then you play the music in the background, and
Crowdsourcing, I like it.
Then when they say "come on down," that's when you like, do a death drop or some shit like that.
All right, so we are playing Price is Right, and as I mentioned, this game is from November of 2017, so you're going to have to think back to how much things cost in 2017. Remember that?
Readjust for inflation.
So with that, who would like to go first?
Sure.
Okay, so Faust, you're going to be up first. If
Thank you,
recall,
Faust. I'm scared.
You recall how this works. I'm going to show you an image. If you can describe it for the folks who are hearing this just as a podcast, just like a little bit about what it looks like. And then I'm going to tell you a few more facts about the item if you want. And then we're trying to guess the price without going over. Right?
Excellent.
So within like about a $5-10 range, I'll consider on board for most things.
Awesome. I don't know how things are priced generally speaking. So like this is going to be a great experiment.
Great. Wonderful. All right. So Faust is up. Here is your first object.
Oh, wonderful.
Would you like to tell the nice people what you see?
It is an Eiffel Tower dildo. It is. I don't think I need to explain it any further. It is the flared base.
Thank you. I was called guest. That's what
Eiffel Tower. And then the actual tower aspect is a dildo. It does not look comfortable. It does not look like something that I would particularly play with. And also the whole thing is just black. There's no like extra adornments after that. I guess what you would like, do you sit on it?
You could.
Is that like practically how they expect it to be?
I don't know about its load bearing. I'm not sure.
That's true.
Yeah. Those legs
it looks like it's
super thick. But this is a 10-inch dildo, just for clarification.
The dildo part or the whole thing? Do you know?
Like,
it is 10 inches
like the
tall.
tower and not the flared base. Like the tower is 10 inches.
Yeah, and another thing that's relevant is that this is called a harness compatible. So you could wear this in a harness too. It is phthalate free, and it is made in France. So that's a fun detail. So do you have a guess for the price of this 10-inch Eiffel Tower dildo?
So I can tell you right now, I've never actually purchased a sex toy.
Ooh.
Yeah, which is weird because I own them. I have a bunch, but they're always either gifts or I win them in Kinky Quizzo or something.
Nice.
Like the one Quizzo that I'm pretty confident that I can win by myself, unless they ask me how much like a sex toy costs, apparently. Are we doing like American dollars on like the...
Yeah, we're doing American money.
Okay. 65.
65 is way over. This is actually
I see.
38.95.
Oh, wow.
What?
No, I would have totally gone there because, like, yeah, sex toys. Thanks to our sex negative culture, sex toys are expensive in the U.S.
Well, and like it's such a novelty.
Right?
I just...
Yeah, you'd mark it up, right?
When you said France, my price went up. And if you say it's anything free, I'm like, that's another $39. I was over 100.
You have to remember, Les Mis was panned as a movie, and that probably drove the price.
Dropped it.
Yeah, I don't think it was panned.
Thanks. What's his name? What's that horrible singing dude's name? With that
Russell
Crowe.
Oh,
Russell.
my God.
I also didn't take into account inflation. 27.
Because yeah, $38 in 2017 money is $65.
Remember, we all had jobs. It was wild.
Oh, what a time!
Who's up next?
My turn.
All right,
Please.
kids. You ready for this?
Not sure. Let's go. Oh.
So, yeah,
Oh.
next people, what you see?
Wow.
Okay. The machine gun toy, available wholesale. This has, what do you call that? Is there a piston in there somewhere? I think something in there is called a piston.
For
I
sure.
think the dildo is attached to a piston,
Hmm.
and it looks like a gun. And then it looks like there are attachments. I'm curious about the fact that there are two attachments that look like they are intended to, one of them is sort of bumpy, looks like that's for the bung, and the other one is smoother, or maybe you can flip them around. I'm really intrigued by the attachments. And it looks like there are bullets at the base of the attachments. So they vibrate. Now I'm wondering if that dildo has a vibrator in there. I bet there's a dildo in there. Okay, and it's available wholesale. That's important.
Yes. So we are talking the wholesale price on dhgate.com. You would be getting just the gun, not necessarily all of the attachments. So the gun itself.
The gun itself.
Yeah. So wholesale price. How much would you pay for this
Wholesale.
sex machine gun?
Wholesale, I'm feeling like $49, something like this wholesale.
Y'all are paying too much for your sex toys. That is $18.29.
Wow!
Another deal, right?
Wow.
You would think I would have seen this more often on the internet if it was that cheap.
I'm guessing it's probably not, like, a lot of people make these out of actual appliances. They use
Right.
actual existing tools and then convert them. And this one, I'm guessing, is probably not as high quality because it's probably got a bit of a novelty thing to it. A lot of sex toys are sold with this like novelty idea, which is probably why the like penis head on all of the dongs is covered up by like Chinese lettering. Because
Yeah.
this is like the Wish app version.
And the plastic does look like that. It looks like lower end sex toys. It looks like the stuff you got free from Adam and Eve back in the day. It looks like that grade of plastic.
Good old fashioned phthalates.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer's, right? That's the store that like just has a bunch of like crazy novelty shit in like the malls that maybe don't exist anymore either.
No, I think Spencer's does still exist.
Spencer's does still exist, and in malls, which are it's so fun to go to back when we could go to going to malls and just watching the eroding heart center of capitalism, like actively pumping through its last pumps. Oh,
While
good time.
Bezos steals all their blood. Yeah.
Ooh, boy, right?
So Faust and I were not long ago in Puerto Rico together. We went to a mall together, and we went into, what is the goth store?
We went to Hot Topic.
Yeah!
We both went to Hot Topic, yeah. And I made out like a bandit there too. I got so much shit. I thought I was like in friggin' middle school again. Like, cute stuff there. I'm not even.
What'd you get? Sorry to interrupt, but I want
to. So I got 2 pairs of short shorts. One was like just basic black. One was like this modded purple, which like is my shit. I will buy like fucking anything purple. And then I got this button down that had it was completely sheer except for felt polka dots, except instead of polka dots, they were coffins. I eat this goth shit up. I love it. I live for it. It was, and like, I got a whole ass outfit out of that.
Yeah, you did.
Like, I felt so good. And like, I didn't expect to go into a Hot Topic in Puerto Rico. Like, I gave up on it back in 2003. Right? And here I am, like, surrounded by, like, other Puerto Rican goths. I'm like, oh, we're a rare breed. I don't know if I'm ever going to be in a room like this again.
Finally, the meeting.
American
I'm calling
goths.
this a convention. Yeah.
I've not heard an American goth begin an outfit or a find with short shorts. I'm delighted that that's what's going on in Puerto Rican gothery. I'm delighted.
It's Caribbean. It's too hot. Yeah. It's too hot out there otherwise. Yeah.
They're ready for something.
All right, Darryl, you ready?
Of course. Okay, yeah. These are your essential butt plugs. They're clear. I would guess that they're glass, but if they're glass or plastic, that really is going to affect the price. But they are clear with colorful ponytails on them in a number of pastels. Right? Am I correct? There are 4 of them on here, and they're there. But the price for one of them, I'll just say as a quick diversion that this is probably my favorite toy to see used in a video. There is nothing better than a ponytail. Like when you see somebody walking by and they just got a little tail on them, I think it's adorable. So I will never not remark on it in my head or out loud when I see one in a pornographic video. I'm like, look at him, a little horse tail. It's just cute. I've had the internet for a while, so I'm very well versed. And when I see people doing like the full-on horseplay with the bit and the hoof hands and they do the whole promenade thing, and not promenade. What is it called? Not equestrian. Anyway, when they do the prancing stuff, I get very weird. But the least weird part of it are these ponytails. I love them. So, because everything's been so low.
They are clear glass, just to clarify what they are made of.
They're glass.
Clear glass.
And I can't go over. So I'm going to put it at $43.99.
Woo! These are 100 money. Woo. What is money?
Glass blowing, dog. That's what it is.
Yeah, so these.
I'm conflicted about that price because like the glass is expensive, but the ponytail, like, not mane, hair, whatever, looks cheap.
Right.
It do. It looks like it's gonna mat up the first use.
It's like you can't pull it by the hair.
Yeah.
Like,
And that hair ain't never
have
gonna
to
be
grab
right.
the base before you take it out, or else your hair's gonna come out.
They got the hair from Masquerade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Once you insert that, you look like you didn't put a flared bottom on your friend that you brought home from the club. That's what it looks like. Feet first.
Oh man,
We are tied going into the next round.
it's true.
This is anyone's game. All right, Faust, you ready?
Yeah.
This is not technically a sex toy, but I think it's fun.
I got to play with one of those at
Oh yeah, at the museum,
Yep,
the institute,
Franklin Institute. Yeah.
We're like circling the place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, would you like to describe what you see?
It is. I forgot that there's a just audio thing. I forgot that I would need to describe it. It is a gynecological mannequin. So I am looking at a fake person's vulva and then a bunch of accoutrements to, I guess, further explore what you would have to inspect as a gynecologist. I don't play with any of the things I'm seeing. So do not test my biology skills right now, because like I've only seen this shit on a poster and I forget most of the words anyway.
So this is a simulated EVA gynecologic mannequin. So just so you know, this is not necessarily sold as a sex toy. This is sold as a learning device.
Right.
So what do you think in this costs?
$82.
Wow. I love that is what you guessed. I wish that's what it was. It is $848.60.
Yeah.
I knew it was
Education.
gonna actually be expensive. I didn't know 800.
Yeah.
Expensive. Like medical supplies are ridiculous.
Yep.
And
The health system is broken.
That's also like not a life-saving device per se. I mean, like,
People.
I get. You know what? Yeah, I guess.
So that is
They're
actually
actually
one of
using it to practice their.
Yeah, we do
get it.
need to talk about like pelvic examinations and how even today we still don't fully seem to understand how like the vulva having populations like insides work. And so we have things like this which are getting increasingly realistic, but they're having a hard time making them because they still don't totally understand how it works. And the best way for people to learn is actually on a human person as an educator, which is a job. Because up until recently, and it's still very much legal, a lot of students, medical students, were getting their practice doing pelvic exams on patients who were in the hospital for something else. Often they'll be like for surgery, and then they'll just have some students come in and be like, give a pelvic exam because this person signed a release that like covers that apparently. And that has been the history of gynecology is deeply bad.
Horribly.
Yeah.
Deeply bad.
That is so toxic. And yes, there are educators, the metas, but people are still so freaked out. So there are live, informed people with this anatomy who teach people how to examine it on their bodies. And there are doctors who are superior. There are surgeons who are superior to residents who engage residents in this violence against those people's bodies because they're too uncomfortable to examine them live. And so they traumatize them as though the body doesn't remember that a violation has happened to it. And I'll end with saying, Faust, I want you to describe slits to me all day and clap at the end. That's what I want in my life.
All right.
I would be happy to oblige, honestly.
Thank you. Bring me joy.
Describe all the cervixes at the bottom.
Yes.
All right. It is still anyone's game. Kat, I believe you are up. You ready?
Oh, here we go. Okay. I don't know nothing about this. Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay.
This
It
is
looks
a
like.
good time for me to step away for hydrate.
So Stranger Dongs. So this is called the Demogorgon, and it looks like demons. One of them is orange. I mean, this phallus looks like it could open up. Like, is it alien or predator? It's like the thing that comes out. Like, it just looks like it's gonna open up and
Yeah,
bite you.
the face hugger. Yeah, it's very alien-ish.
Yeah, and there's a larger. They both look so engorged though. So I'm actually although I might sound appalled, I'm like intrigued by that. They are effective, okay? In the parts of my brain they're supposed to be working on. The engorgement is great. The materials, pick up the colors, really, I would bang these demons. I would.
Those are
The
thick
art,
boys.
they're nice. They're nice without
Are
fake
they
veins.
demons? I guess so.
I mean, they just look like they'll get me back. They look like they'll animate on me in the middle of trying to use them. So these are delightful to look. I highly recommend that people look up the Demogorgon Stranger Dongs.
This is a delightful product. The one you were looking at to the right is an onyx highlight over a crimson mane. You can get your select size and firmness. This is, of course, a Stranger Things related dildo for the Stranger Things fan. So they do sell it in small, medium, large, and extra large.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that, Kat, how much should a person pay for the medium?
The medium. And do we know if we're looking at any of the mediums right now? Where we just know that this is.
I would guess that if I were to just guess, I would guess the one on the right, which I was describing, is the onyx highlighted with a crimson mane. That is a medium. And then I would
That's
guess
a medium.
I would guess the one next to it's probably an extra large.
Yeah, that looks formidable. I don't care who you are. Unless your initials are LG, you have no business touching
Listen.
that one on the left.
That looks like a forearm, that one on the left. Okay, so the one on the right is a medium. We've got the Stranger Things that going on. The plastic is so nice. I mean, I really do feel like giving this like an $80 price point. Like I feel like I'm looking at $80.
I'm gonna go with that.
Yes.
So $80 is the price for a large, but the medium is only $55.
That's a deal.
Yeah, we just keep finding all these deals. Real bargains around here.
Yeah. Wish list. Okay.
Excuse me, I gotta go to my Amazon.
I love the detail on these Demogorgon penises.
Well, these are artist renderings because sadly the what is it? Not Russo brothers. I can't remember it's like a brother duet that produces Stranger Things. But I do not believe in the 3 seasons that I've watched that any Demogorgon penises have shown up on the screen.
I would have heard about this. Yeah.
Can confirm.
Yeah. They've been alluded to.
Shit, I don't know what just happened. Sorry. All right. Darryl, are you ready?
Of course. Bring it on. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's funny. It's the Craze Razor Silver Sensation tool, but the piece that we're seeing has a golden hue, but it is definitely metallic. It looks like, how do I describe it? It's kind of like a switchblade, way more toward the Swiss Army knife kind of delivery device of the pain implements. One is a pointed instrument, like a triangle, very sharp at the end, and the other one is a spur. I imagine that this is used I imagine that this is used, to titillate the skin in some ways, perhaps one could use it for some light blood play. All it makes me think about is my relation to pain play, and I ain't no punk, but it is one of those things where I have to go like, I hope you like that. Like, you know, like you have to, you know, like in the moment, like I don't want to break character here for a second, but like you don't look that happy that you just slapped the shit out of me. And so if you don't look that happy and I'm feeling the way I feel, don't ever do that shit again, because we're gonna have to come to blows. And you don't want to turn into that. But anyway, the Craze Racer Silver Sensation tool, it does look fully metallic, which I think
It's stainless steel.
Ooh, stainless.
Stainless.
Uh-oh. That means you could go hard with it. And it's dishwasher safe.
How much do you believe that you should pay for this sensation tool?
My question is the size. I imagine it's something handheld, but I could easily see somebody going completely bananas with it and this being like a floor model. But yeah, definitely it's a handheld thing. I would say, yeah, for something like this, like $40. Let's say $33. Yeah.
Crave Razor Silver Sensation Tool sells for $156.50. We are killing it, y'all. We're doing great.
I've never considered using sewing tools for sexual pleasure.
Is this a sewing tool?
Well, the little spur thing looks like a tracing wheel, which you use in pattern making. Sometimes some people don't fucking bother, but like, I mean, I have one. I have one right here.
No, I saw it. I did not know it was for. I was just like, oh,
It doesn't feel
great.
good. I just from like spinning the little spur, I was like that alone kind of hurt. Like I'm not.
Faust, I thought that was a toy because I don't sew. So I saw you hold it up and I was like, go ahead, Faust, because it made me remember how you were like, I do not buy my own toys, okay? My toys is N1, bitch.
Yeah, do not just like keep them readily available for like my video calls.
Hey, I was like, who knows where they're at when video recording? Like you could be sitting at a table for sewing or a table full of sex toys. I don't know.
Evidently there's overlap. Yeah.
What's there, but yeah, you pull it out. I was like, oh. I was like, yeah, I mean, I get the spur thing. Like, you know, there's a titillating sensation. You run it down an arm or a back, or the back of a knee would be like crazy, you know? Like, I get that. The spur part, that one hanging just hook, that don't sound fun at all. That doesn't.
I can't tell if it's sharpened. There's a lot of weird angles happening with that one.
Yeah. But like the rolling sensation of the pinpricks being like, I think that takes away from the force equation, right? Like because it has the
about doing play with metal stuff, and often is the case, especially with the spur, is that you can buy something so that you are electrified while you play with this. So that's how a lot of my friends would use something like this, is that I would have like a violet wand. I would have like an electric source, like a, just like, it's basically just giving off electricity. I put my hand around it and then my whole body becomes electrified. And then someone can roll this over my skin and it causes that sensation on top of the actual sharpness. So,
that's hot.
Learning thing.
Yeah, electric play is, I don't think it gets enough attention.
Seriously, Timaree, you just erased all my thoughts. I need that. That's some therapy.
And then you could be laying there, right? And you're holding on to the electricity in your whole body. Like, it doesn't necessarily feel like I'm being shocked. It's just like, if anyone comes in contact with me or with an object, then there is that sensation. So you could have multiple people involved. So somebody's got this like Crave Razor or whatever, and then other people could just have like their hands on it and they're getting shocks. Or then you could take like a little metallic pom-pom and do some little whatever sensation, some percussion. It's a lot of different types of sensation are possible when you bring in electricity.
Every time I see that in a video, I always think that they're faking it.
Oh no,
but
I mean, it could be, but like.
it could be, yeah, obviously, but like, I mean, it's work, right? But like, yeah, to hear someone be like, no, there are real sensations when it comes to them. I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, so we have one round left. It is anyone's game. We're coming back to Faust. You ready?
Yeah, sure. I mean, as ready as I was the last 2 times.
It's purple.
Horrible. I don't want it. I hate the name. The name sucks.
Tell the nice people what you see.
I see a little travel size gimp rubber ducky. The duck itself is black and it is wearing a purple leather outfit with all the fixins. Got a ball gag and like a little spiky collar and like little wing restraints with like some grommets on it. The product itself is titled I Rub My Ducky, which fuck y'all, but is it actually does it say waterproof massager?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So,
it is not just like rubber ducky for your bath. It is
correct.
Legitimately a sex toy.
Yeah, so there's a whole family of rubber ducky toys that vibrate and can be used like in the bath is basically like how they're marketed because they're waterproof.
Brilliant.
I see. Like if somebody wanted to make a menstrual sex toy, that's what this looks like to me. It looks like the ducky's gonna do jazz hands and start dancing. That's what they don't even have to change anything really about the design. That's what's astounding to
The
me.
lips would be red.
Yeah, they would bring the red out a little bit. They don't have to
little bit.
differentiate the ball gag. They could just fill in that red. I just see it. Yep.
Oh, I can't unsee it.
Kinky menstrual. I got the name for them and everything. Kinky menstrual, or whatever. No, maybe not. Maybe this is a company that made I Rub My Ducky. Maybe they could come up with a better name than Kinky Menstrual, but it's already there. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm supposed to come up with a price for this.
Yeah. How much
Like,
would you
it's
pay
like-
for the travel size?
23.
$19.64.
Okay.
Which is the closest we've had thus far.
Yeah, I would say
Okay.
that's very, very close.
You close the gap.
All right.
Go team. Go team. Okay.
Kat, you ready for yours?
You ready? Oh, come on. What is this?
Okay.
Okay.
So just describe what this object is, then you can tell me what you see. So this is the Gentle U Ride. It is a 42-inch object that is available from Walmart and comes with free shipping. It is plush. So yeah, what do you see when you look at the Gentle Ride?
Timaree, you just saved my ass because I haven't really looked at farm animals since Old MacDonald. You know what I mean? So I saw this and I felt like I was in trouble. Okay. It looks like a live animal to me. And so I thought this was a trick. It's looking at me, which is really odd. It's inviting me. This animal is inviting me to do something with it. That's how I feel looking at it. The plush looks really nice. It looks like wearable. And it has 4 legs. Yeah, this is a U. A U is a form of a sheep. Yes.
It's female.
It looks like she's had her hair blown out, which is also interesting. This is rideable.
Apparently.
And you just get on it. And
it's not marketed as a sex toy, but I was like,
yeah,
Sex toy.
you can grind on that.
Right, somebody fucking that.
Yeah. I mean, I see They could definitely, I see
What does it
five.
mean excitable?
So to me, it means it's durable. Great question. If it's ride, and I imagine it's motorized, right? If there's a
No,
ride,
it's
it's not, it's just plush.
It doesn't vibrate?
No, this is not marketed as a sex toy. It's just
Okay.
that you could, in the same way that you could have like, what are those things where it's like the head of a horse and a broomstick and you could pretend to ride it around? You could do the same thing with this.
Is it weight bearing?
That I don't know.
I mean, if it's called a You Ride Me.
Gentle you ride.
Oh, You Ride. I imagine it's load bearing for a child.
Yeah. This is probably for children.
Okay.
This is, I mean, I commend the parent who had a child who was that into sheep that they said, hey, look, if I deny it, it's going to turn up later. And it's going to turn up later in a way that's going to make this child's life harder. Let me develop this toy and get some backers and mutually beneficial situation.
Listen. This very image is pro sheep sex propaganda. Okay, the way that this creature is looking at me, I've never felt this way toward these animals before. I'm looking at these legs. I have feelings. The legs look like phalluses to me. I didn't want to look at a creature that looks like this way. So,
Rick Santorum.
and so it can probably hold like maybe 30, 40 pounds. So that does bring the price down. I was picturing like a sheep robot doing things, a U robot.
It is 42 inches tall for whatever that's worth.
42 inches tall. Okay. I mean, that brings the price point up. Like that's 3.5 feet. So I think I'm still, before I was thinking like 500, but there's no motor. I think this is hovering around 100. I'll give it $89.
The Gentle You Ride, sold at Walmart with free shipping for $347.
Oh!
25 cents.
What?
300.
300? Man, they don't, I mean, they really love their child.
They fucking that. If you spend
Can you learn
$300, you fucking that.
Can you learn a sheep's anatomy from this thing?
Sooner or later. Sooner or later. End of that month, you're like, well, I got to fuck it. Damn, I didn't even
All right,
start putting
Darryl, you
the
ready?
losses on. You're like,
This is our last one.
I got to fuck it. Yeah, okay, cool. Let's do it.
Huh.
Oh,
Huh.
I don't want to get too personal,
This
but
is
I'm
Adam and Eve, and it is made out of silicone, for what that's worth.
I am intrigued by penis cages and penis cage people. It's always something when I see it, I go, huh.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. Anyway, I imagine. Okay, so it's a cage. So there are 3 rings of gradual size. It's all black, obviously. 3 rings of gradual size, and then there is a cage. It looks like I'm about to say you could fit a plantain in there, but it'd have to be a plantain, not a banana, because you don't need the curve, right? It's a straight shot shackle that has 4 things lengthwise, and then 4 circles combining it. Obviously, 3 are at a similar diameter, and then the 4th one is a smaller diameter to make it taper toward the front, and then there's a hoop on the back that, thanks to the internet, I recognize as a place to put your one's testicles in to really lock it in.
Oh.
And then one would put the other rings also around the testicles, or maybe even the base, in order to really seal in the flavor.
Oh.
Yeah. And man, how much is this? It is, because the other ones that I'm seeing are so much more, not quite elaborate, but definitely more constricting. I would say that this one is less than those, but I also have no frame of reference for how much those other ones would be. Um, as a voyeur to the space, I have to say, oof, $30.
$10.95.
That's
Son of
20,
a.
20. I should have had that one. I didn't even know about the ball cradle, and I should have.
But
That's
that means that our closest guess of the whole game goes to Faust.
Yay!
So, declare Faust the winner.
Sweet.
All right. So congratulations on your win.
Congrats.
So as winner, you get to promo first. Where can people find out more about you?
Oh, that's a great question since I just started like this week. You can look up Faustian Designs on Instagram. I got a Facebook page. I have a Twitter. It doesn't have anything on it, which is super exciting. But considering that I'm actually going to be starting production and taking made-to-order purchases, hit me up on Facebook or Instagram and we can get started, and I will have pictures of the actual merchandise up imminent.
Faust makes a lot of sexy goth wear, just so you know.
And I mean, there won't be any like official photo shoots because, you know,
The
Everything.
world.
yeah.
Mhm.
But you'll check it out. Like, I think my stuff is cute, so I'm sure you will. Oh yeah, I'm wearing my stuff right now.
Ah.
Yeah, that thrills me. I've wanted to see that this whole time.
I was remarking on it to myself, like that is nice and sheer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is one of my actual designs. You would think that I thought of that sooner than just right now.
Worked out great. Alright.
Yeah, perfect timing.
What about you, Kat? Where can people find out more about you?
Yes, I want y'all to know so y'all can pay me and I can get some clothes made by Faust, please. So sucks to be quarantined every Sunday. So if this episode does drop this week, we will be on Facebook and YouTube live Sunday right around 9 p.m. We have a bunch of comedians come through. Darryl is on our host panel. It is such a fun time that really cracks through a lot of this isolation. And we're going to have a really fun themed one because a team member is leaving who happens to be a white male. So we're having a farewell white night episode that I hope will be supportive to people this week. Y'all, thanks for having me. This is fun.
Thanks for being back.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Sure. Please, if you haven't, or if you have, do it again. Go to darrylcharles.bandcamp.com and get my debut stand-up comedy album, Black Gentrifier. I would love it if you did that. It's also available streaming if you feel like my jokes are worth pennies or fractions thereof. Find me on Twitter at Darryl_. I've taken some of the jokes from the album, so you could watch me perform them at the taping if you want to see the delivery and not just hear it. And then once you laugh at the joke, because I know you will, share it and tell your friends about it, because that's also a thing to do. If you don't have the money or feel like spending it, just tell other people about it. Because, if I survive when the country comes back, it'd be good to be able to have some data to support me performing in venues up and down the Eastern Seaboard elsewhere. So, let's do that thing. I'll shave by then.
No.
What? No, yeah, no, I got you. This is
No.
you and my wife, damn it.
All right, and then for me, I've postponed my shows because white people need to shut up. That relevant. But if you want to work out, I'm still teaching workouts every day because I want to join together with people in a space where we're doing something collaboratively and working on our mental and physical health. So if you want to work out with me, sweatwithtimaree.com. So that's sweat with Timare. So thank you. And we're gonna keep doing this.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I've had
much.
like 5 urges to thank white people today, which is a sharp decline, and like 4 of them happened here. So thank you. When you just said, I mean, whatever you did with your shows, you are a person who's been doing the work. But yeah, just I almost thank you. I'm practicing not to do. So Timaree, you almost got. Timaree, please tell me you black so I can thank you. God damn it.
All right.
Yeah, man. Timaree's my friend, and she has many times in my life have done things that make me proud of our friendship, and I'll leave it at that.
I love you.
I love you so much.
Oh, you don't work together for 7 years with just any old person. You're my favorite.
I love how this doesn't make sense based on like how I see everyone.
I know, right? It doesn't make sense based on how I see it.
It doesn't work.
I know.
I just know she's over here to me.
I'm like,
but,
this is sweet. It doesn't.
But Faust, did you get the love? Because on my screen, you and I got all the love. You got Timaree's love, and I got Darryl.
Really
Yeah.
That's how love works.
Fine with. I love getting love.
Yeah.
It's called compersion.
For it, but like,
Love fest. This whole room is a big old love fest. All right. So with that, thank you both for being on. This has been super rad.
thanks for having me. This was a blast.
And everyone, thanks for
Hanging
joining
with
us.
the Brodies, got a bad
Next
bitch on me. She
time,
DTF.
She tell me she
DTF. I heard she DTF. What? And you ain't hanging with the team if you ain't down to fuck.